Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
Hi everybody, how you doing? And guess what? I found Steve, fresh out of the bog. Here he is, Steve Stockton, everybody.
I was standing out in the driveway waiting for my coffee to get here from McDonald's.
It was like he's in quicksand. Oh no, he found some quicksand. Steve and I have been afraid of quicksand since we were toddlers.
Yeah, that was
that
always
true,
on TV. Like all the shows we watched, Daniel Boone and Bonanza and all those westerns, they were always getting in the quicksand.
Frankenstein was always in it. He got caught in it.
On Daniel Boone.
Grab a branch.
Israel got in it. Mingo got in it. It's like, damn,
Mingo?
I'm afraid to go in the woods. Yeah, that was his Native
But it
American
was sad.
friend.
It was so sad. Didn't Frankenstein fall through something else too and wound up in the ice with the Wolfman, didn't he?
Yeah.
Frozen in the same cave, wasn't he? He was in the ice.
I'd take that over the quicksand. That was just...
But I think he went through the
walking around in
quicksand.
the woods, like I think that's quicksand over there.
Maybe somebody in the chat knows. I'm pretty doggone sure in some movie, maybe it was Abbott and Costello. When they went through the quicksand, they actually wound up in a frozen cave, and that's what they came out of in the next movie. I could be wrong. How's everybody doing tonight? Steve, you're doing good. You've got your, what is that now you're drinking? You're drinking a frozen cappuccino, half
frozen mocha,
latte, mocha chocolate latte, yeah.
From McDonald's. Yeah.
Oh gosh, how is everybody tonight? I think we have a birthday girl. If I had known, I would have done a video for her. But I believe it's Mairead. I believe it's Mairead's birthday.
It is Mairead's birthday. Or
Happy
it might have
birthday
been yesterday.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Love you, love you, love you. Donnie Chow's in here. Who else we got in? Chris Jarvis.
Mairead is 29 and holding.
Woo! Monica's here. Melissa, hi, darling. Kisses and hugs. Laura Elizabeth's in here. Now, she had something she said, ask and tell. Golly, what was it? Gosh, what happens if I can't remember, Steve? I didn't write it down. Golly, it was something real important. It might have had something to... I know what it was. It was something to do with the podcast. She had us on her wonderful podcast, Midnight in the Mountains, and I believe it's going to be on Wednesday night, was it, Laura? This Wednesday coming up. Just drop your link in there. She's laughing at me because they can't think I was trying to play it off. But just drop your link in there, honey, and everybody go over there and listen to that. We had a good old time, didn't we, Steve?
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of fun. We didn't give her much chance to talk, but we had a good time anyway.
She pushed our buttons and let it go. Patriot 174, hi darling, how you doing? Big hugs. I think Patriot is waiting on Gatekeeper hoodie, and I should pull up that vid and watch those wonderful designs. I'm telling you, I can't thank you guys enough because people are reaching out and grabbing it, taking advantage of that Cyber Monday. I think it's still 35% off. So
roll that beautiful bean footage there,
right?
Sister.
I need to go in there and see if I can get it. I don't know if I can. I might just throw us all off. But anyway, it's fantastic. I appreciate it. Every bit of it's going towards StreamYard. I promise you. Cross my heart and hope against bacon. You know, bacon hearts, I promise. So anyway, thank you so much. It really, 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 really helps, especially in these times. I've got T-Rex here. I've got Three Souls Paranormal. Hi, how you doing? You see anybody you want to say hi to in there, Steve?
Aunt Edna's here. Grey Wolf Paranormal, Uncommon Belief.
Grey Wolf.
Melissa Nicole.
Hi, you darling.
Andrew Gnomes Trucking.
Andrew, hi.
A lot of people in the chat. Creepy Unsolved here. Richard Elmore.
Fantastic.
Black Dragon.
Richard. How you
Monica
doing?
Davius? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Don't give it to me. Hi, Edna. Hi, sweetheart. Big love and hugs. Everybody send good love and hug vibrations out across the chat, because I'm telling you, there's people hurting tonight. People with chronic pain, people with back pain, people with pains in their gluteus maximus, and pains in the neck, and, all kind of migraines and stress headaches and everything else. So everybody just send good love vibrations out to each and every one of us, because
Now, I've
we
been
could all use
accused
healing.
of giving pains in the neck and gluteus maximus.
Yup. Right, the gluteus maximus. So anyway, talking about fancy that you mentioned it, Steve, about the T Public and the sale and everything. I think it's just great that I can't get over the you put a design together, you hope it looks good. I'll tell you, I love the one with the logo on the tombstone, and I need to put the one up with Crispy giving the gatekeeper the flower. That's the one I need to put up. But anyway, I sent off for a mug, and I'll tell you what, it came out fantastic, and you can't really see it because of the green screen, but I was impressed with them, and I got myself the one with the gatekeeper one with the logo
good.
on the tombstone.
What I can see there.
I mean, it's really, really good. And I've got people in here saying that they've ordered t-shirts. Again, I'm going to tell you something about t-shirts. I found out if it's a black t-shirt, they have to put another layer underneath the silk screening, you know what I mean, to get the colors to pop, and it's a little thick for me, and I like black t-shirts. That's my number one go-to. Who doesn't, but if you get it on a different color, they don't do that. So even the lighter gray, or black is the only color they do it to. So if you got like a tank top or something like that, it'd be too thick. You know what I mean? It's not comfortable. So I'm going to just tell you the truth about that. But the mugs and the tumblers and, the hoodies and the canvas bags and the pillows and all that. Now, somebody was saying something about the Canada, Gray, was that you? Talking about the shipping was so high in Canada. Reach out in the chat and let us know if that's true. I mean, I there's nothing we can do about that, is it, Steve? I mean, I know T Public's got their rules, but you'd think there was something we could do for our Canadian brethren. I think you're off again, honey. You're mute. You're mute. Mute. There you go, babe. You got it.
Yeah, it is.
Now you sound like you're underwater. Did you hit something? Did you lean your elbow on something?
No.
There you go. You're back.
Yeah, I didn't
I'm
touch
telling you,
anything.
folks,
It
I
just
got a
did it
feeling.
on its own. It's one of those nights when
It's going to be one of those. I'm telling
strange
you.
things are afoot.
I'm telling you, I feel it. I really do. It's going to be something. Last night, we got so energized in here. We had Carla and Dave on talking about reincarnation. They've lived 29 lives together. And one's had more, but they weren't always together in the same. So we talked about soul groups. We talked about, lessons learned. We talked about karma. We had a ball, and they brought up that there's spirit guides, and I know you've talked about this before. You and I both, that actually guide spirits across, and back and forth even, and they're gatekeepers.
Yeah, it's like the
They're
ferryman
gatekeepers.
that you hear about that takes you in the boat across the river Styx there to the other side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, it was $17 to get it to ship. I don't know how to get around that. The only thing I could think of is maybe if Canada's such a huge place, but if anybody could get together or something like that, maybe I can look into doing something like that, just seeing who wants what and then send it all in one shipment or something. I don't know. Shipping's gotten so crazy now. It used to be so easy, and what happened to Pony Express? Didn't have a doggone problem. It was just on a horse, Steve.
Yep.
Some young kid on a horse running for all he was worth and got the mail, and what happened to that? Wasn't there rain or snow or sleet or hail or aliens or...
Well, that's what they've got carved into the post office, but
what happened to that?
supposedly that was just the architect that designed the building thought that sounded good. That's not their official saying or anything. Neither rain nor sleet nor snow nor dark of night shall slow the U.S. mail. It doesn't slow it down, but it just costs a lot.
Yep, yep. There you go, Patriot. Patriot saying I'm the keymaster. I don't know if I want that responsibility. Is that the person who walks down the hall and you can tell they're coming a mile away because the keys are on the big ring hanging on the you know? I don't know. I don't know if I want that responsibility. Oh, and Jackie Canella, thanks again. I don't always go in and look at the reviews on the book, but I noticed that we're sitting around 4.5 stars on We Are All Children in the Wilderness, the Afterlife, Steve. And the wonderful reviews in there, just, you know, fantastic. I'll never get used to reading people talking about reading the book. I just get used to people wanting to buy it and read it. You know, it's amazing to me. I just can't get past it. And I looked in there today, and there's a wonderful review from Jackie, and I thank you so much, love. Thank you so much. That's always honest reviews that, you know, I hope you like it, and the fact that that many people enjoyed it, you know, not even just to get it, but to bother to go through everything Amazon puts you through just to give a review. So much appreciated. We thank you so much. So we gathered together tonight to talk about what, Steve? We're talking a little bit about those who come back from the dead to give us another encore, one more curtain call, maybe. Good old rock and roll ghost stories. And I know you've got many there, Steve.
I've got a couple. Got some country, some hillbilly singer ghost stories too.
Wow. So, yeah. I mean, that's something. Now, I was looking through, and I definitely was picking up Hank Williams, and I was picking up on
Hank Senior.
Senior. Yep.
He's the only one that's dead, but yeah, he supposedly died somewhere between Knoxville, Tennessee, and I don't remember wherever he was going the next time. They rolled him out of the Andrew Jackson Hotel there on Gay Street in Knoxville, and he was passed out. He was had an alcohol problem, and they were giving him morphine. He had back pain, and they think he might have even been dead when he left. But they discovered, I think it was somewhere up in Kentucky or Ohio or somewhere like that, where they'd pulled over and figured out he wasn't breathing. But they've seen him walking between the Andrew Jackson and the Tennessee Theater there on Gay Street in Knoxville. They've seen his ghost going up the sidewalk there.
Melissa, that's amazing. That's amazing. Melissa's asking you something here, Steve. I wanted to make sure I got it in. Can you see it?
Nah, it doesn't matter if Melissa's asking it.
Steve, remember the spirit that moved the chat that one time? I def compare last night to that. Yeah, wow, that sounds interesting.
About had church one Sunday over on Missing Persons and Mysteries. It got pretty wild in there. But there was definitely a move of the spirit.
And Donnie Chow wants some gangsta rap ghost stories.
Yeah, probably got those too.
I'm sure they're out there, man. I'm telling you what, I was just looking through this morning because I waited. What's going on with Aunt Edna? What the hell? Spell check got me already. Oh, yeah, spell check could get you. I was looking through today, and like I said, I came across the Hank Williams, and Johnny Cash was mentioned quite a bit.
Yep, and he's appeared a couple places too.
Remember that time I told you? Now, you know I'm up by Jersey Shore, and we have the Barclay Hotel, the Berkeley, and it's right on the boardwalk, not far from where the, oh gosh, what's the name of that ship that went down? Not the Titanic. Morro Castle.
Yeah.
And it went down, I think, 38. So not far from there is a grand hotel. Now, when I went on the ghost tour the first time, I knew a lot about Asbury, but I didn't know it from this perspective. I knew a lot of the buildings because, again, my mom worked on the main street there as one of the top decorators. She decorated windows, and she was worked in a florist there. So it was a big deal. That's where people wore hats and gloves and, pillbox hats and dresses, and the guys wore ties and, fedora hats every day. My dad worked at the Asbury Park Press right across the street, and naturally, somehow they came together. So anyway, I knew about this place. I was down there all the time. My family was involved. My extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody had a store. So I didn't know about the deep, dark secrets about this grand hotel. You just go by it all the time to get to the arcade or to the beach. So you look up on top, and the part of the hotel that I liked about the most was this glass dome room right in the top, and I thought, wow, what a view this place would have, right? And it was just amazing because it was round and there was stuff all around. I used to imagine as a kid the wonderful things that went on there, like probably orchestras or bands or grand crystal parties and champagne parties and stuff. I go on the ghost tour. You know what it was used for, Steve? That's where everybody that was on vacation in the 1800s and early 1900s, if you had a cousin or a sibling or a daughter or son or something that was embarrassing or was autistic or possibly crippled or epileptic or otherwise not to be seen in public, when you went on a vacation, you took your loved one there and they were shoved in this room and watched by one nurse, Steve.
Yeah, they were strapped in a wheelchair, so they couldn't get up and run around or anything. And then they shoved them up there, and they looked out the windows over the boardwalk.
Yep. Isn't that the saddest thing? You think you're going on vacation with your family, and they pull that kind of nonsense and leave you up there in the thing. I thought that was the creepiest thing I ever heard. But Johnny Cash used to own a part of that motel. I'm not saying he had anything to do with that, of course, because that was 100 years before him or close to it. And he had a favorite room that looked over that very same view, just a floor below. And there's many stories of bellmen and stuff like that going in and saying, oh, this, room is already occupied and they're trying to bring in luggage from somebody new just checking in. And there's a man dressed in black looking out the window. And one time he turned around and gave him like a thumbs up, like everything's fine. And the guy said, I'm sorry. I'll go back to the manager and find out what's going on. He shut the door. And he goes downstairs and finds that nobody's in that room. And he said, well, I think it was Johnny Cash, the manager said. And he goes, who? Because he's a young kid, he didn't know. Yeah. They showed him a picture, and sure enough, it was Johnny. Yeah.
And, a lot of those music ghosts, they travel around. Johnny's been seen at his estate in Jamaica. Some of the hired help there saw him standing looking out the window one day when they were out doing something on the grounds. Same with Hank Sr. Not only has he been seen there in Knoxville, but he's been seen at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville.
That's, yeah, I have heard that. But, it might be because, Steve, just a theory, why not spitballing? We're always spitballing on this, just guessing and trying to bounce ideas off each other. But, is it because the music is still alive and when the music is playing and we're connected into that we're connected into the energy, much like we would a loved one, we can almost get personal with it because the sound of their voice, their energy.
It has a personal meaning to every single person that hears it, and it's different.
Yeah.
Plus, these guys traveled. A lot of those guys, they played maybe 300 shows a year. They were on the road. That's all they know is to travel around. And I think, as in life, so in death, they're still out there making the rounds.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I guess my microphone, you can hear me okay, can't you? I was wondering if that was too far away. Good Lord, the day that you have trouble here in Cisco. Woo! You better get something checked. Okay, so we got a couple other people popping in here, too. I know we've missed. Golly, and there they go again. I've missed them twice. I wanted to catch them coming in. Creepy Unsolved. Hey, how you doing, honey? Glenn. And No Justice, No Peace. How you doing? Welcome in.
Yeah, No Justice, No Peace. I invited her over, and she's like, I can't find it. So I had to send her a link.
Oh, how cool. Well, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like that. I've always heard of the Elvis stories. Same thing, Steve. The move around, it's in different places. And, of course, we've heard...
They've seen him in Las Vegas at... used to be the International. It's the Hilton, but that was where... he had his residency. When I lived out there, Barry Manilow lived in the penthouse that they had there for Elvis. But they've seen him backstage, and he's also had a house in Vegas. They've seen him there. Of course, they've seen him in Graceland. There's a famous picture. I think it's in the National Enquirer something years and years ago of him looking out the storm door at Graceland, like sitting on the couch or something. Had a house in Beverly Hills. They've seen him there. Elvis gets around too.
Yeah, I was just reading the chat in here. They're talking about Kurt Cobain and Chester Bennington. I've heard stories about Chester. I don't have any confirmation stories on his ghost yet. More of the information that I have is like via mediums, like him from the other side coming through and communicating. But Kurt Cobain had some stories out there, and I think one of them was debunk something that happened with a girl in the computer, but it sounded like absolute. It didn't smell like Teen Spirit, let's put it that way. It smelled it smelled a little bit more like bullshit to me. Well, there's that. So anyway, I did find a couple. I pulled ones that I thought were a little different that I hadn't heard. Now, there's going to be one in here, Steve, that I know you know a little bit about. So it was Graham.
Yep.
And
Graham
a little
Parsons.
something, and a little something about Joshua Tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the story that I know about it, and at the end it's going to leave open for all that, because I have a feeling you know a little bit more about it than the story that I was reading on it. So I'd love for you to put that in there.
pages in my book, and I have a personal experience with it.
Well, there you go. That's why I wanted to leave you space to put that. I'm looking forward to it. And hey, Black Dragon, how you doing? So again, you know I went for this chat and made y'all a video. Oh, and thanks again. If Laura didn't hear me and Donnie Chow, apparently we've got the little $sign down at the bottom. You know, listen, you guys don't need to do anything. All I'll ask you to do is like it. But if you want to do it, by all means, go ahead. There's commercials now on the thing. You guys got me monetized, and I'm going to try my best to keep giving you the best content I can and everything else. And every bit is appreciated. Like I said, get a mug, get a sticker. Just give it a like. Just share it. Just be here. Everything is appreciated. Thank you so much. So let's play a little bit of the video. I've got a little stuff to read here, and at the end of it, if you got any that you want to add to the story, Steve, feel free. Okay,
All right.
it sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let me make sure I got this up and ready to roll here. And I do. Pardon me, guys. Old fashioned. I'm old. I got to write some of this stuff down. I don't want to forget the details. Lord, I can't remember my shopping list, let alone a whole. Okay, here we go. Ready to roll.
I mean, I remember John most days anyway, because he was such a big part of my life, and it was something I'll never forget. Obviously, it's just fondest. Oops. What was it?
No, it was just a weird blue flame.
That was John.
I'll tell you something, man.
He's there.
Weird, man.
That's all right. It's okay. Leave it in. It was John. He's around again. He's part of my life.
What
And
happened?
It was something I'll never forget. Obviously, it's just fondest. Oops. What was it?
Don't worry, we'll run it back. Now, Steve, did you catch that?
Yeah, I saw that. I've seen that clip before. That's very interesting. They're talking about John and had
I
some
think so too.
anomaly there pass through the equipment.
I have to admit, this is the first time I recall ever seeing this. And obviously, it's Paul McCartney having an interview, and they're talking about John. And as they're talking about John, you can hear the stuff that the clip I had was a little longer. You could hear people talking in the background and everything. And then as he's mentioning John, this blue haze light goes like a couple of, almost like a ripple, Steve. And it goes through, and it's just, it looks like pure energy. And they stop, and they're scuttlebutt talking about it, and he realizes, he looks up and he tells them what happened. He goes, well, that was John. Leave it in. And how cool was that? So I'll roll it back for you guys to catch it. It was pretty darn cool. I think Black Dragon got banned from the pub, Steve.
Yeah, I see that.
Do you see that? So one more time, just watch this little blue light go up as he's talking about John. I thought it was so cool. First time I saw it, chat.
Weird blue flames went.
That was John.
I'll tell you something, man.
He's
That
there.
was weird, man.
That's all right. It's okay. Leave it in. Leave it in. It was John. He's around again. It's part of my life, and
See
it
it?
was something I'll never forget.
That's
Obviously,
something.
you know, it's just fondest. Oops.
Sorry. What was that?
Was it?
Isn't that something, man? Now, chat, you might forget that our friend Steve here was a pretty amazing photographer. I mean, photo shoots, all kinds of things. He understands cameras, old film, 8mm, all the way through to 35mm, and you know, more, right, Steve?
Yep.
What do you think about that little piece? Gut instinct.
It's anomalous. It would take a lot to make something like that happen that wasn't a supernatural
Yep.
occurrence, I think, because it's not something the equipment would do. That was some sort of electromagnetic energy that came through there and crossed in front of the lens there, whatever type of a lens they had on that, and it's looked probably a prime lens or something, but it doesn't normally do stuff like that, and it moved. It was like in a wave, like you said. It wasn't inside the camera. It was between the camera and Paul McCartney there.
And I don't know what the chat thinks. Oh man, thank you so much. No justice, no peace. Thank you for that $5 contribution there. We thank you so much. Thank you. Keep up the good work, she says. Thank you. And Donnie Chow, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Donnie Chow here with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, love. Any thoughts and stories? Let me see here if I could bring this up as well as the vid. Kinda, sorta. Any thoughts or stories about all the rumors and accounts of singers, actors actually selling their souls for fame and wealth? Well, I have absolutely zero doubt of it. I have absolutely, I don't know if you want to get me started on that. How about you, Steve? I'll give you $9.99.
I've heard a lot of stories, so
Yeah. Woo.
I mean that goes all the way back to the Mississippi Delta and Robert Johnson
Crossroads.
selling his soul to the devil at the crossroads, and that's an interesting story. If you hear about that, he wasn't any good. He couldn't barely play a lick. They wouldn't even let him sit in with them. He disappeared for a while, and he came back and could outplay some of those guys that had been playing all their lives. And
Absolutely.
He was, the first member of the 27 Club got poisoned by a jealous husband.
And here we've got Edna saying Bob Dylan admitted it. Yes, darling, he did. And, many others. I mean, Lady Gaga said, I swear to Satan, on live TV, and it didn't look like she was joking to me, and I've seen other things. But like I said, you don't want to get me started down that rabbit hole. I know a lot of you understand. Patriot, thank you, darling. $9.99 super chat, thank you so much. I love these great stories, Steve and Cisco, who rock. Thank you so much. You guys rock. You guys absolutely rock. But yeah, there's plenty of current people. I won't name names now, but you can go back and look through videos of, while they're on stage, their face changing. We've got the tragedy that just happened. I don't even, there's still people fighting for their lives there. We've all been to concerts that got out of hand. I grew up in high school. It was 13 past midnight. Booyah. Thank you so much,
I didn't want to be the only one.
You're so sweet. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. I don't know what to thank you. But the thing is see, I don't even know what I was talking about anymore. I just got thrown right off. I apologize. But there's a lot of them. If you Google it, you can see their face changing. This last concert, God bless everybody, who lost somebody. But, when I was in high school, the Who concert got overrun and people busted right through the fence. This felt different to me. This looked like, I'm not,
I'd walk over
it
you
looked
to
like
see the
CERN.
Who.
It looked like, yes, it looked like CERN. It looked like a portal. It looked deliberate. It looked, but, I was at rock concerts when I was a kid, and parents were saying stuff about it, about stuff then, and we thought they were crazy. And I'm out there with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and having a blast and drinking Jack Daniels and going backstage, and you know what I mean? And your parents are home playing your record albums backwards and wondering what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we thought they were nuts. So
even some of these modern groups, even like Nickelback, if you play Nickelback backwards, you can hear their homage to Satan. But what's even worse than that, if you play it forwards, you hear Nickelback.
Oh, Steve, I knew that was coming. That was like a train coming, watching a train get ready to hit a car.
I did that on Shannon's show.
And you can't stop it. Yeah, I was there. That's why I knew what you were going to say. And I was trying so hard not to spit cappuccino out my nose, because that wouldn't have been good TV. Not at all. But thank you again so much for the stuff. Everybody get some bacon. Just grab some bacon for all of you. Just bacon for everybody.
Reach under your seat. There's a pack of bacon.
There's a pack of bacon.
And you get some bacon. And
ooh, they had extra thick bacon stacks on sale the other day at the is it Lidl's or Lidl's? It's a German grocery store. I don't know if anybody knows about it, but I've been calling it Lidl's for so long. I think it's Lidl's.
Yeah, I don't.
But I got my whole neighborhood calling it wrong, so I'm just gonna play stupid and pretend it's them. But it was my fault. I did it.
Street here called Zatterberg's. And I called it Jitterbugs one time because I couldn't think of the name. And now the whole neighborhood calls it Jitterbugs.
Well, goodness gracious. Look, I've got all this stuff on John Lennon. I'm just going to well, there goes Donnie Chow again. Oh my goodness, honey. Thank you so much. Let me get your question up here. Hold on, baby. And no, you don't have to pay to get a question. You can whose do you have?
Whose credit card do you got, Donnie?
Do you think that maybe the musicians who stayed as ghosts are the ones who may have sold their souls? That's probably a combination, Donnie, to be honest. I mean, the ones I'm talking about tonight, they don't seem to be mean or anything like that. They might be afraid to cross. I think that's a mixed answer there, to be honest. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think it depends. Some of those artists, I don't see them doing that. And some of them, I think that's the only way they got to where they were.
Well, they got to where they are. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. You look at the Grammys and you can see, like, satanic rituals and all kinds of things just being right in front of you. I mean, if you know anything about the metaphysical, about, chaos magic, and but we need to get somebody who's really good at that, because that's an interesting subject, too. It's manipulation of energy. So, you know what I mean? It's, and there's good intent, there's bad intent, and there's, in everything.
And there's curses that go along with a lot of that. I've got a friend in New Zealand that wrote a book called The Led Zeppelin Curse. We need to see if we can get him on some.
Yeah, let's do it.
The hardest thing, though, is because of the time difference, he's like a day and a half ahead.
I know.
Like that.
I know. So, I've got wonderful people, Claire Broad in the UK, that I'm just struggling to get on here, because she's an absolute delight and an absolute gift to just be around and to listen to, and just so insightful. But it's like, I don't know, next Tuesday or something there.
Creepy Unsolved says apparently the Island Boys sold their souls because their talent must be lost in the mail.
Milli Vanilli, that was actual demonic possession on stage. I'm joking.
Sounds about right to me.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't joke about such things.
But it does make you wonder.
I don't know.
There's these people that don't have a lot of talent. They're not very good singers. They're very good musicians.
Yeah, what's going on?
And then they just explode. Now, I don't know if it's, lowest common denominator, that's pretty low sometimes, unfortunately. So it's easy. A lot of people say, here's something stupid we can jump on. And
I love Milli Vanilli, Melissa says. Girl, you know it's true. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I don't really see what was so wrong about that, because
I don't either.
You had the Wrecking Crew. If you've ever read that story or saw that documentary,
I have friends.
Glenn Campbell and all these other people
that played all the music
and sang on every single hit. Like
Mario and I, one of our good friends, Bernard Purdy, played on the first Beatle album. I hate to say it, spoiler alert, but that wasn't Ringo. I'm good friends with the man who's on 3 of those albums, and he's had death threats because of it.
They asked John Lennon one time if he thought Ringo was the best drummer in the world, And he
And
said,
he
no,
said, no.
Ringo's not even the best drummer in the Beatles. A lot of times Paul McCartney would have to teach Ringo the drum parts. But he
Absolutely.
said, we didn't hire him because he was a good drummer. We hired him
hired him
because
'cause
he made a great Beatle.
he was a great Beatle. And
Yeah.
that's the way it was. Like, I mean, look at the Monkees. The Monkees, that was one there.
That's the prefab for.
Right. And you know what? My heart was absolutely broken. Excuse me. I don't think they could ever come back as ghosts because they never really existed. It was the Archies. But there was a band behind. Hey, Sir Brian's here. Hi, honey. How you doing tonight? And T-Rex also. How you doing? Oh, excuse me. But it was the Archies, and I can remember back in the day, you could get like super sugar crisp, and on the back of it would be a 45, and you had to
Cut that
finish all the
record out.
cereal, cut that record out, and you put it on, and I can remember playing it, and it was sugar, and my heart broke when I found out there was really no such thing as the Archies.
Wasn't Don Kirshner or somebody behind that just
Oh, probably,
made
gosh.
up the whole thing?
Yep,
But,
our generation had the best
I-
music,
I
Aunt Edna.
had the album. But talking about the Monkees being the
Sugar,
prefab
sugar.
four, there is a theory that the Beatles were a contrivance too. Google Beatles and Tavistock, Tavistock. It was an experiment in mind and crowd control.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about it, and I've gotten a lot of hate over this on my channel, but the Beatles were like the first boy band. They had the same haircuts, they wore the same clothes. The girls went nuts for them. They're Beatle band, or
Absolutely.
boy band.
Absolutely. And it was, I mean, when you looked back, and you think about, well, the Monkees didn't play their own, they weren't a band. They were picked to be in the show, and then they had to act like they played together. And then after that, they wanted to go off and start playing their own music together. That's when the real
Some of them could play.
shit
Peter
started.
Tork,
Peter Tork is
he
fantastic.
was the folk musician. He played banjo and stuff. And
And his mom invented Post-it notes.
yeah,
Or was it
that was
paper
Mike
clips?
Nesmith.
That
and
was
his
Mike
mom.
Nesmith. Yeah.
Mike Nesmith and his mom invented whiteout.
White out. I
Yeah.
was so close. I thought it was a paperclip.
Close enough.
Oh, Laura, thank you so much.
But
Bad
Mickey
brings
Dolenz,
bad,
he'd
good
been
brings
on
good.
Circus Boy.
Oh,
And then Davy Jones, he had been like on the British version of Broadway or something like that. He was a singer, but
I gotta make
they were
room for
made
that
up
one.
and put together. And there's rumors about all these different people that tried out for the Monkees. One of them was Stephen Stills. And
yes.
he didn't get picked because he had bad teeth. And another one that didn't quite make the cut because he was too short, and they already had a short guy, Davy Jones. Charles Manson.
No.
Supposedly auditioned for the
He
Monkees.
was friends with Glenn Campbell too, and also
was friends
was
with
it
Glenn
Doris
Campbell.
Day's
Doris Day's son.
Son, yep.
Can't think of his name right now. Produced an album for Charles Manson called Lie. And then also, he was real good friends with one of the guys from the Beach Boys. I can't remember which one.
the cutie patootie.
The drummer.
The drummer. Oh, don't tell me. Oh, shoot.
And he was the only Beach Boy that actually served.
Daryl,
And then
was
he
it?
was found dead. He drowned, which is kind of weird for a surfer. But there's
Chattel
supposedly
tells.
some Dennis Wilson.
Dennis Wilson. Oh yeah, gosh,
But he was
a
the only
hottie.
one that served, and then he drowned. And there was some rumors
Sorry.
that the Manson family had something to do with that.
Yeah, I had a thing for Mike too. I mean, he was the
Terry
only one that
Melcher.
looked sane
Terry
to me.
Melcher was Doris Day's
There you
son.
go.
I couldn't think of his name.
Well, I let a couple super chats go here. Laura is saying, I have to put this up because she's saying, bad brings bad, good brings good, Tater.
Hater.
God bless her. And Sir Bowden's coming in here saying, I'm so happy you now have Super Chat. Thank you, Sir Bowden. I appreciate you so much. Again, wouldn't have the StreamYard if you didn't come over here and help me put all this together. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate every single one of you guys in chat. Thank you again. Dennis Wilson, absolutely. And I've lost that. Let me get this back together. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, there was all that going on, I know CeeLo Drive is extremely haunted, but you got to also imagine that all of that music going down at that time and all those drugs. And we have one of the guys in this video like we mentioned earlier, it was in the Byrds, and multiple different bands. It's in the write-up here, so I'll just touch on that. But they used to go out to the desert and trip on acid. We've seen multiple stories of this, and I think at some point you're connecting into an energy. If not connecting into what's already there, you're definitely leaving something, don't you think, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Behind.
a lot of those guys did that lived out in that area. Graham Parsons among them. Guys from the Eagles. They'd go out into the desert, usually somewhere around Joshua Tree, and either take LSD or peyote and watch for UFOs. And I'm sure they saw them. But that makes you wonder: was it really a hallucination, or were they indeed, like Terrence McKenna and some of these people have written about, were they opening up their third eye and they were actually able to see stuff because of what they were taking? That wasn't a hallucination. It was
and it's like peyote and anything else. It's just like,
it expands the mind.
It's like, it's okay if monks do it, or if shamans, or guided, even in something as simplistic as a sweat lodge, which sounds simplistic. There's some definite depth to it, but it's still a simplistic practice. And that would be poo-pooed on, but when somebody else does it, calls it something different. It's like people making fun of house cleansing with sage and salt and holy water and things like that. And then people say, oh, that's, maybe not the holy water, but the other stuff is blaspheme. It's this, it's that, it's woo-woo, crazy nut stuff. Yeah. But then you go to Catholic Mass, and what are they doing? They've got the big ball of incense. What do you think is in there? It's incense and herbs and everything else, and they're burning it and having a ceremony. They're cleansing the way. So it's all in what you call it.
All in your intent.
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I learned here about John Lennon, because it was new to me. I've heard some stories, but this was new to me, and there was quite a bit on him. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read this to you, chat. I'm going to do the best I can with it. Okay, here we go. During his lifetime, John Lennon said on multiple occasions that he witnessed sightings of ghosts. So he was chill with it, He was very much interested in all things mystical. We know that. Listen to his music, right? It shouldn't come as a surprise that the legendary Beatle decided to pay a few visits to fans after his untimely death. There have been numerous reports of his ghostly apparition all over the world, but his most famous haunts are all near the Dakota Building in New York City. Picture. And the place where Lennon was gunned down in front of. Both Paul McCartney and Oasis frontman Liam Gallagher have reported Lennon's ghost made appearances while they were recording one of his unfinished symphonies. In 2009, John's son Julian Lennon, now this part got me because what you guys don't know is Laura has been talking to Steve and I after we did her episode, and we were talking about signs from spirit. And we've all been finding feathers or hearing about finding feathers since that episode. I know I have, Steve, and Laura has too. So this grabbed me. So John's son Julian Lennon also claimed he was visited by his father. It was when he was handed a white feather by an Aboriginal tribe elder. Before his death, John told Julian, "If anything ever happens to me, look for a white feather and you will know I am there for you, always looking out for you."
So that was John Lennon flying around my Christmas tree. Then.
It could have very well been. Now, Steve told a little story.
That was about 10 years or more before he died, but...
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Steve told a little story about a feather, so if you want to hear that Wednesday night, Laura, right? If you want to throw your link up here, honey, do that. If she's gone, maybe one of the mods, it's Midnight in the Mountains podcast, and I believe that's on iTunes and all the podcatchers and everything else. But Steve told that wonderful story. So here we've got just a few pictures. Now, I did something different with this one. This is the building here. Now, excuse me. I know Steve knows a little bit about this story as well. If you want to go ahead and tell it. Here's Chapman.
There's the Dakota building where John Lennon was gunned down just outside. That's one of the last photos of him there. He's signing an album for Chapman.
And
They
there's
took that
Chapman right
in
there.
as evidence, and Chapman sued to get it back. I don't know if he ever got that album back or not, but that's the most valuable album in the world. Or John
Album
Lennon
in the world.
in the world.
Right before he was killed.
But some
Right.
other weird things
Didn't he
about
have
the
Catcher in the
Dakota.
Rye? Didn't he have Catcher in the
Had
Rye?
a copy of Catcher in the Rye. He
Okay.
sat down and was reading it while waiting for the cops to come and arrest him. Yeah, there's a rumor or a conspiracy theory that Stephen King was actually the one that killed John Lennon. Because if you look at Stephen King at the time, he kind of actually favored.
It did favor him? Oh,
Chapman.
wow. Well,
But,
here's a little bit of what happened there. It's horrific. 3 bullet holes and miss. I mean, that's close up. That's just horrible, man. It's just horrible.
If he'd aimed just a little to the left and got Yoko, they'd have his statue out
That'd
there
have been
in
it.
Strawberry Fields.
Now, here's...
Sorry, I don't like Yoko.
Here's Central Park. Now, the rest of this on John Lennon is just pictures that people have, whether it's photographers or people on tour or whatever, and for whatever reason believe that this is John Lennon in the photographs that they've caught. Either it was by where he was shot or it was by where his memorial is in the park. He's been seen in all over Central Park, all over New York apparently. So there's your theory for they can get around. Now, can everybody see this photo here, this fine young lady and who's standing beside her? For whatever reason, she feels that is John Lennon. Again, didn't see the photo till they got...
It's John Lennon. Doesn't look too much like John Lennon to me. It looks more like
Now, it could be
Phil
anybody.
Spector.
Can you imagine the amount of ghosts in New York, Steve? Just
man,
just
it's
imagine.
crawling with ghosts.
Just
And the
imagine.
interesting thing, that Dakota building, it's had been haunted for decades. That's also where they filmed Rosemary's Baby, a film about the devil
Yes,
and
yes.
Satan and stuff. Who directed that? Roman Polanski, who was married to Sharon Tate, who was
Yep.
murdered by the Manson family.
Absolutely.
So, who was a big fan of the Beatles and had actually met John
so true.
and Paul when they were in L.A. because of their affiliation with the Beach Boys. So
Absolutely
it's
true.
all just this one big. You can.
It is.
Charles
It's all
Schwartz
connected.
says you can measure a circle starting anywhere. Well, there you go.
Yeah, in this case, it's more like the 6 degrees of Charles Manson.
Yep.
And Be Kind here has sent us another wonderful super chat. Thank you, darling, so much. Thanks to both of you for the great content the past few months. Well, God bless you, honey. I'm telling you, it's nothing without the chat. It's all about the gatekeepers and the listeners, because without the gatekeepers and the listeners, me and Steve are just on a regular phone call to each other, right? You guys make all the
This doesn't
difference.
last as long as that.
It's just, and it's all about you guys. Okay, thank you, KC. Says it's an interesting show. Thank you so much. So here's this one picture, and again, they didn't see it till they got home, and of course, that's standard. There it was. So I mean, your guest chat is as good as mine.
I
If
think
that,
it's a ghost, but I don't
here's
think it's
another
John
one.
Lennon.
Now, how in the world do you think this is John Lennon? It looks like a lady in a short coat and go-go boots to me. But there
that's
again,
Yoko.
this one to me looks a little bit more like Lennon, and
That
it's
does
also
resemble him.
it's also at his memorial. To be fair, it's if you notice the memorial. Let me go back here because you may have missed it. Chat, hang on. Right here, this beautiful mandala there. It has the word "imagine" in the center, in memoriam to Lennon. So quite beautiful, right there.
That definitely.
And this looks like him. This one is one of my favorites, as far as and again, a man walking across the street. I mean, is it a ghost? I don't even know if it's a ghost, but certainly I don't know if it's John Lennon, but there it is, just the same. Now, I love this one, and you tell me why, chat.
Cat's looking at him.
Yeah, tell me why. You know what it is? It's the cat sees him. Whoever it is, it's somebody. Because that cat's going, what? Now, here's another. This just looks like a hippie to me, sitting outside of the by the lake in Central Park again, not far. Yep, like Strawberry Fields Forever,
It's like
right?
Neil Young,
Strawberry, doesn't it? It could be Neil.
and he's still alive.
Yep.
Having an
Kitty saw
out-of-body
it.
experience.
Okay, this one. Okay, this was Hamburg, Germany. Let me take you right back real quick so you check and see. Okay, there's there's Neil.
It does kind of look like John during
He
their,
looks, man. I
went
think
through
I
an era
smoked a
where they-
joint with
where
him
they
in
looked like
'78.
that.
Wait a minute. It looked just like a guy I smoked a joint with on the boardwalk in '78. Just exactly like same poncho and everything. Pork chop, sideburns, long hair. Yeah, could be. I don't know. We'll never know. Okay. Let's see. Is it playing? Yeah, it's playing. Right there it is, Hamburg, Germany. So apparently he lived there too, Lennon, and he's seen there as well. So I guess miles mean nothing. Because
that was when they were first starting out, they played
now
in
I'll
Hamburg, Germany.
I'll be honest, I don't even see that one. But this
silver
one was pretty good. It's either him or it's Elton John as a 14-year-old boy.
Or a cat lady.
Or $5, they got cat toys in those pockets,
There's
Steve.
my buddy Graham Parsons.
Okay, I gotta stop it right there. Wait a minute.
Sorry. Well, you have a lot of those in New York, bag ladies, cat ladies, kind of the same thing. But that could have been a cat lady.
Oh gosh. My son for Christmas one year gave me that. It was, those action figures, the Kiss, and all these great, fantastic, extremely detailed, about the size of a regular G.I. Joe. And he gave me that. And when he walked in at Christmas, he gave it to me. I was actually wearing a robe that had cat toys in the pockets. So and it was of a cat lady. It had all these little cats with it and said, "You may be a cat lady if," But anyway, in my defense, I was fostering cats at the time. That's my, and I'm sticking to it.
You are the cat
So,
lady. Have you ever been in New York?
Have I ever been to New York? What?
Yeah. You ever been in New York?
Yes.
Well,
Multiple
maybe that
times.
was a picture
It could be.
from back in the day.
That was in Hamburg, Germany. I've never been to Hamburg, Germany.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have a fine hat like that. So anyway.
I told
Okay.
them Sunday go to church.
So here's something fun.
Big
Here's
ostrich feather in it.
you guys, chatter. You're gonna love this. Okay, chat. Everybody get ready because in the beginning of this little episode, you guys kept naming off music and looked like you wanted to sing and you were talking about all kinds of stuff. So here's your chance to show off if you like. So get all your little dancing emojis ready because the next one is Graham Parsons. Now, Steve is going to have a great story right after all this is over here. I've left him a spot for that. But that's the young man. Right? Well, no, that's Lennon. Hang on. We're done with him. All right, so there's Graham Parsons. Now, I've got a little bit to read. And then I got something a little special for you. So hang on. Here we go. Let me find it. Okay, here we go. Now, Graham Parsons of the Flying Burrito Brothers and Graham Parsons Project. So many different with the Byrds. Parsons recorded as a solo artist and with the international submarine band, the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, which is fantastic. It's almost as good as Big Fat Pet Clams from Outer Space.
Flying Burrito #2 is one of the best songs
It's
ever.
like the best.
But nobody took them seriously. They thought that they
Yeah.
were a joke because of the name. Mm-hmm. But really, if you look back,
Like
they
Big Fat Pet
started-
Clams.
They started country rock.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They
Yeah, it was
were
good
way
stuff.
before the Eagles, and he was doing it before the Byrds.
It was kind of like...
he didn't like it called country rock, though. He
No.
called it cosmic American music.
Ooh, yep, there you go. And it had like a little polka feel to it, like a
There's
little
bit of
Jimmy
everything.
polka. Yeah, it was good
jazz,
stuff.
There was blues, there was R&B.
That's what
rock,
happens when
country.
you drop LSD in the desert, Steve.
Yep.
Okay, so where was I here? Okay, Parsons lived a wild rock and roll life. He was often accompanied by his manager, best friend, and that he'll come up in it later. Very important part. Phil Kaufman. They would often spend their free time in the California desert around Joshua Tree National Park, taking hallucinogens and looking for UFOs. I wonder if they ever found anything, Steve. During one of the trips, Parson told Kaufman that when he died, he wanted his friends to take his body out to Joshua Tree and burn him on a pyre. Parsons died in 1973 at the age of 26 of morphine and alcohol overdose in his room at the Joshua Tree Inn. Now, there are claims that the motel room remains haunted. And so for everyone who's in for a bit of a scare, would definitely like to check in to room 8.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. Claims vary, but there were those who spotted him walking across the pool at dawn, walking across the room and laying in the lounge chairs. The staff members also say they see apparitions of the legendary musician in the lounge and by the bar, of course. Although his family decided to ship his body to Louisiana, Steve will finish this story. But if you don't remember Parsons, and if you're young and you don't remember all the different
Look him up. You'll
stuff,
be impressed.
I wanted to throw up here. Here's an album cover from the Byrds, and I wanted to play you the song. But if I do, we're going to get a copyright. So I thought, what do I do? Somebody gave me a great idea. They want to remain nameless, Uncommon Belief. Thank you very much. So here you go. They can stop me from playing it, but they cannot stop you guys from singing it. So here we go. Do everything. Turn, turn, turn. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. You guys remember this? To every purpose unto heaven. There you go. So we got around the algorithms that way. So
they'll give you a strike anyway for that.
Probably so.
No, I'm kidding.
Listen, I bet the way I was trying to sing it. But here's the thing. That was written by Pete Seeger. And it was pretty much taken out of Ecclesiastes. So it was really, really beautiful. Pete Seeger wrote it in a rush in less than 15 minutes. Okay. And it turned out to be a wonderful hit for the Byrds. That was by no means the only hit they had, but I thought I would throw it out there because this was such a cool time. And there was a lot going on, like now, with the back and forth. Every era has it. But there was a little bit something different with the bell bottoms and the love beads and the make love not war and that whole thing. And the music was absolutely.
Jeans. Do you remember when that was thing?
I had them.
Jeans
I
and
had them.
Jacket, those big old elephant flares and the platform boots. Hell yeah. What I wouldn't give to go back.
Absolutely.
I was too young to really enjoy
Barefoot,
it.
bell bottoms, love beads, and oh my gosh, we've got somebody coming up that epitomizes that era and not far behind this. But here we are at the actual site of the memorial of at Joshua Tree. And Steve, if you wouldn't finish up that story, what happened? He asked him, he said he wanted to be brought back there. Now his body was sent for by his family to Louisiana. What happened at LAX?
More story to all this. Yeah, they had gone out. Graham had just gotten divorced from his wife and was getting ready to go out in tour as his first solo tour. So he wanted to go out where he enjoyed going, out to Joshua Tree. And just take a few days or a few weeks off before he had to go on tour. Well, while they were staying there, room number 8 was his favorite room. He always stayed in that room. While he was staying there, he met a girl, I think she was in room 10 or 12, that gave him some morphine. But he had been abstaining because he was trying to get into shape to go on tour and didn't realize that his tolerance had dropped a lot lower than it had been. So anyway, he'd already been drinking. They'd gone out to drink with Phil Kaufman and another girl. I can't remember what her name was, because Graham was no stranger in all the bars there in the town of Joshua Tree. And nobody else was drinking. I think Kaufman was just getting over hepatitis, and the girl had some reason that she wasn't drinking. So Graham's like, well, I'm drinking for 3 tonight then, and proceeded to down, I think it's like 6 double tequilas or something like that. So he was already lit up. They finally make it back to the Joshua Tree Inn, and he meets a girl that's staying there. I think, like I said, she's in either room 10 or 12. She gave him some morphine. Well, not realizing that his tolerance was lower, he overdoses. And they take him back to his room. They're trying to wake him up. They gave him a cold shower, and then they gave him what was described as an ice cube enema. And I'll let you draw your own pictures of that in your head. But that roused him up a little bit. So the girl that was there with him, she decides, and Phil Kaufman had driven back to L.A. because they'd run out of marijuana. couldn't have that happen in the 70s. So Phil
Wow.
had drove back to L.A. to get some marijuana. Um, the, Phil's girlfriend and another girl were watching him. Well, Phil's girlfriend decides she's going to go get him some coffee at the restaurant up the road because the lounge or whatever they're at the Joshua Tree Inn was already closed for the night. So she goes to get coffee. The other girl stands outside and like peeks in at him. Well, before the girl can get the coffee and get back, Graham had already breathed his last and passed away right there in the room. And it's creepy. I've spent the night in that room before, and one of the things that's still there, that was there when he died there's a mirror in there, and people have seen him in that mirror. And you think about that, that was one of the last places he ever saw himself alive, was in that mirror.
In that mirror, man. Oof.
But they conjecture that if they had just kept him up and kept him walking around, he probably would have made it. But when they put him to bed while the girl went to get coffee, that was all
That
she
was
wrote.
it. That was
Well,
it.
he was actually born Ingram Cecil Connor III. His dad was a famous, I think he was a fighter pilot or something like that. He had killed himself Christmas Eve when Graham was, I think, 12 or 13 years old. And then his mother had married Parsons, a guy named Parsons, who adopted Graham, and then she drank herself to death. So he'd had a whole life of tragedy and misfortune and stuff, but he was very talented. He started out in New York as a folk singer and then made the trip west. Well, they wanted to bring the body back to Louisiana because it stipulated in the will, and the family was wealthy. At one time, they owned, I think it was like 75% of all the orange groves in Florida. Now, that's not too many now, but back then in the 70s, there's a lot of orange groves down there. So, the stepdad was... Graham had been the last surviving member of the family, and for the stepdad to inherit Graham's portion, which was all of it, Graham had to be a native, or had to be a resident of Louisiana. Well, since he was dead, they found out through a little legal wrangling, well, if they buried him there, that counts, and then his stepdad could take the family fortune. So that was the big deal about flying him back to Louisiana. Well,
To Louisiana,
his road manager, Phil Kaufman, was upset about that. And he was talking to his girlfriend. He's like, man, that just ain't right. You know, they're just basically stealing his body, his stepdad is, so he can get that money. And he told her the story about the time they were in Joshua Tree. Is national monument back then. It's since become a national park. There's Graham on his motorcycle at Joshua Tree.
Yep.
But since then, it's become a national park. And he told her that story, and she said, well, SOB said, what are you doing sitting here? Go. So they found somebody that they could borrow a hearse from.
Wow.
They went and took the body off the tarmac at LAX. They put on suits and pretended to be from a funeral home. So we're here to collect the body. There's been a change in plans. And they signed it out. I can't remember the first name they used, but it was like Mikey Nobody, Nobody.
Mikey Nobody.
Yeah, so they took the body, headed back out to Joshua Tree, which isn't that far. Joshua Tree's about halfway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, so it's right there on the edge of the Mojave.
Right.
And took it, coffin and all, out to Joshua Tree. That picture you had there, the memorial, that's called Cap Rock. And it's so-called because it used to, I don't know if it still does or not, there was another rock on top of that rock. It looked like it was wearing a cap. But there's a little overhang there, so they put the coffin under Cap Rock, poured in 5 gallons of gasoline, and tossed in a match. And
there he went. There he got his funeral pyre.
And that was what he asked for, that his soul be released into the desert.
You know, that's so native, and it's so I can't. My heart when I first heard that story, I was like, man, that's friendship right there. That's, counting on a brother.
Steal your body and burn
Counting
it in
on
the
a brother.
desert.
If I asked somebody to do that and they went through, I mean, that it reminds me a little bit about Big Lebowski and all that with the coffee
Yeah,
can
with
and
Donnie.
all. I mean, the whole thing. And here we go. Speaking to Donnie, we got another super chat from this love. Thank you so much, Donnie Chow. And he says, thoughts on Jimmy Page buying Aleister Crowley's house on Loch Ness. Now,
We'll get to that.
whoa, man, yeah, that's a loaded one there. There's a lot there, but
There's
go
more
ahead
to
and
this
finish
story.
up. Go ahead and finish
so
up on
they
that. I
set
know
it
there
on
is.
fire, and it was more of a fireball than
Mm.
just the fire. They thought, I guess they thought, maybe 5 gallons of gas will be enough. It was a little too much,
Mm.
but it did what they needed to do. And for a long time there, the underside of Cap Rock was black, where they had burned his body
Right.
and his coffin there. There's a wooden coffin. They've pretty much pressure washed all that off now. That memorial that you see there in the picture, that's gone. All the graffiti's gone. They moved that stone. I can't remember what. Safe at Home. That was one of Graham's songs. That's now at the Joshua Tree Inn, right outside the door. They've got a memorial to him there. But for a long time there, you could look around in the dirt under Cap Rock, and you could find charred bits of wood. It wasn't bits of Graham. They did recover all the human
Bits of Graham. It sounds like
they-
a cereal
bits of Graham
with marshmallow. Oh, I'm
When
so
you wake up
sorry.
hungover,
Oh, I'm
bits of
so
Graham.
sorry.
Not
Oh, I
with
never said
marshmallow.
that. I'm going to have to cut that part out of that. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that out loud. That was terrible.
But
And Donnie
anyway.
says his last name is pronounced like Joe. It's Cho. I keep pronouncing it wrong. I apologize. I guarantee I'm going to pronounce everybody's name wrong.
Just
I
call
call
him
myself
Donnie Joe.
psycho half the time. How you
Donnie
doing,
Joe.
Brown Josh? But that's something, man. That's a lot of gas.
There's still even more.
Go ahead.
Like I said, there for a long time, you could find bits of the charred wood where they burned the coffin there under Cap Rock. And it wasn't bits of Graham. It was bits of
Graham.
burnt wood. But the family did get the stepdad did get the remains, what was left of him, and they transported that back to Louisiana. I read somewhere, I think I talk about it in the book, I think there was about 12 or 13 pounds of him left.
Oh
that
my
they
goodness.
sent back. So he was able to finagle the family fortune, which was
Oh
his
my
plan
gosh.
anyway. But yeah, ever since that happened,
Funerals and
Graham
weddings.
has been seen in or around room number 8 at the Joshua Tree Inn. And I've even talked about sometime I want to take a bunch of my people and go out there. I want to four-wall the place. There's only like a dozen rooms there. Go during the off season. We'll rent every room and spend overnight and see what happens. Now that's coming up. There's more to this. When I lived in Las Vegas, I had some time off, and I had booked that room in advance because I wanted to go stay there.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't a very far drive, and I borrowed my roommate's it's like a Cadillac Eldorado convertible or something from the 70s. So
The car, man.
threw my guitar in the back and just took off.
Eldorado.
But you can feel Graham's spirit there, especially in that mirror when looking. I didn't see anything, but you could feel it. And there's also the ends changed. There used to be the doors that you went in and out of that was the front. Now those are the back doors, and now the front doors face the pool. It used to be the other way around. Well, there's a cat. It didn't happen to me, but I've heard stories about a cat
Okay.
that comes in and out of that door, even when it's locked, what used to be the front door. Well, I'm sitting there, and I'd went to eat. There's one of Graham's favorite Mexican restaurants there called Castaneda's. And if you're a child of the 60s or 70s, you probably read Carlos Castaneda's books about expanding your mind and things like that. Well, there's a restaurant there named after him. I'd went and eaten there. And the thing about going to the National Monument, the National Park, once you buy your pass, you can go anytime. It's open all night. You can go in there and trip balls and look for UFOs if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But be careful. Bill Melder, the other half of Missing Persons and Mysteries,
Right.
he got lost in Joshua Tree. He was there for like 5 days. Come over to the channel and hear what a story he told about
Oh,
his
my
experience
goodness.
there. He encountered like alien gray type creatures.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
goodness.
back to room 8 at the Joshua Tree Inn. I was hanging out there, and the whole room is decorated with memorabilia. There's pictures of Graham. There's old ticket stubs. People have left things there and written bits of songs on the wall and in the closets and stuff.
Oh, I can imagine.
And they have a boombox in there and a big stack of CDs, the production stuff, the normal release, and they got a bunch of bootleg concerts and stuff in there
Oh,
too.
cool.
So I was just kicked back on the bed. It was getting close to midnight. I had some Flying Burrito Brothers live show, had it on repeat, and they had just kicked into Flying Burrito number 2. And I'm kind of laying there about half asleep, just good and comfortable, full of Mexican food. And I hear this, and I sat up, and I'm like,
Uh-oh.
Graham, is that you? So I'm starting to freak out, the hair's standing up and everything. And then again.
Ooh, jeez,
So
why does it give me
went
chills?
to the back door, and I flung it open, and there's nobody there. And I'm like,
Oh, jeez.
Graham. But then while I'm standing there, I'm kind of pretty much wide awake now. And then again, I hear. So I go to the front door, fling it open, and there's 2 girls there, probably in their late teens, early 20s, dressed head to toe in black. I mean, like black leather fishnet stockings, total.
Oh, black-eyed bikini models.
Total goth look. And they said, we came from, they were from somewhere in Northern California, and they came all the way down to stay in that room. And they're like, we'd really like to stay in this room. Would you consider getting another room and let us stay here? We want to have a seance. And I'm like, well, I booked this room about 3 months in advance, but I tell you what, you can come in and have the seance if I can watch.
Oh, so, my God. Wait a minute.
So watch the seance. So anyway, they go back out to the car carrying all this stuff. They've got candles.
Pull the podcast over. Are you kidding?
If I can observe the seance.
Oh, so correctly. I'm sorry.
So
Go ahead.
They haul all this stuff in. They've got Ouija boards. They've got ghost hunting stuff. They've got a EVP recorder and the spirit box and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And they set it up. They're doing their thing. I was hands off the Ouija board and stuff. I didn't want anything to do with that.
I was hands off. You catching this, chat? Go ahead.
But they supposedly...
That's great.
They contacted some entity on the Ouija board.
Oh,
and
my.
It claimed to be Graham.
No.
And,
no.
It didn't want to talk too much, but then they turned on the spirit box, and they were asking if you're here with us or something. And the spirit box said cold. And remember I was telling you, they had given him an ice cold, or not a cold shower, and then gave him an ice cube enema to try and rouse him up. And then they kind of ran with that. Spirit box, this time it said it even clearer. It said, I'm cold.
I'm cold.
And it was like at that moment, the entire room, the temperature there dropped about 20 degrees. They're freaking out. I'm freaking out. So like that was the end of the seance. And they got back in their vehicle and went back to Northern California, I guess. But that was my experience in room 8. And I'm pretty sure just stands to reason that whatever was on the board claimed to be him, and then the spirit box said cold, and then I'm cold, and it was very clear.
Can you imagine now? My mind goes right to the experience I had with my friend who was a voodoo practitioner, and I was getting the calls from her husband who she had put in what she called the unseelie fae. You guys have heard this story before. It's a wham dinger if you're not, because I'm telling you, it's a story, right, Steve? Mm-hmm. But he was calling me because she was no longer accepting his calls, basically. So I'm getting calls from him, and he's leaving them on my answering service, on my voicemail, on my little flip phone. And it's I'm so cold. Tell her to get me out of here. I'm so cold. But it took him longer to say it. It was real, raspy and far away and everything you can see. What you got there, Steve? Oh, National Parks and Mysteries.
Yeah, the National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, Volume 2.
Is that the one that story's in?
Yosemite, Mount Shasta, and Joshua Tree. The full story, all 13 pages of it.
There you go.
A lot of background stuff. I told the truncated version tonight, but my hair is getting really long there, so I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's One of these
Yeah.
days, Locks of Love. That'll make some little kid happy, hopefully. I've been told though not to go with Locks of Love because they charge cancer patients. There
Yeah,
are
see?
apparently some
Yeah, there's
other
other yeah, there's
ones
other
that
good
do it for
ones.
free, and that's who I'll
Well,
donate
there
to.
you go. I'll tell you what,
That's the
that's a
plan.
lot for Graham Parsons to go through. And I think I finished what I wanted to have here. I didn't want to go too far because I knew you had much more insight on that story. Yeah, it just, yeah, it's saying a lot of stuff. Guests inside the room claim they hear a couple. Wait a minute, that's the wrong story. Never mind. They're talking about roommate. It was another bit. There's a lot. There's a lot of hotel rooms involved with the death of rock and rollers. You know, so much plane crashes and things like that. And that's one that's coming up next. But you know, that's something. Graham, I hope he isn't stuck in the in between in the unsilly fade. But the last bit of this song, and we'll move Graham on and move into Mr. Holly. There it is, everybody. Throw up your bacon. Such a great song, though. The original. And there he is. There he is. Yeah. So young, man. Right there.
Yeah,
Said
26.
so young.
Just almost made the 27 club.
Almost made the
But
27.
that
Yes,
stone
bacon for
there
everybody.
That says, Graham Safe at Home. So that was one of his song titles. That stone is now outside of door 8 at Joshua Tree Inn.
At the Joshua Tree Inn. Okay, well, I was wrong. It's not Buddy Holly. We have Jimi. Okay, this one's not very long, but I didn't know too much about Jimi coming back and being seen. I'm sure a lot of people do. He has one real prominent one that most people say, and I will tell you about that. But the thing that creeps me out the most about you know, not so much he's a wonderful talent, you know, so many different things. A lot of people don't realize he was a ranger. Everybody's throwing up bacon, chocolate covered bacon. You know, I've never tried it. I want to try that. That
It's
sounds really good.
excellent.
I was distracted by bacon. I'm sorry. So, but it was the way he died, and that phone call. Was it a phone call or answering machine where he said, you know, I'm real sick. I'm real sick. And the last words he said, you know, as he OD'd as well, didn't he, Steve?
Yeah, he overdosed and choked on his own vomit.
Yep. There you go. Another one going out. There he is right there, man. He's something else. I mean, Star Spangled Banner, you know, that performance, you can almost hear the helicopters, man. You can almost hear, you know, like a raid or a medevac or something like that. Sounds like MASH in the background while he's playing that. How he pulled that off, I don't know.
Hey,
But something.
I want to say hi to somebody real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Lady Nopingham is in the chat.
Hello.
She has one of the best voices. She's an up-and-coming creator. She has the perfect
Hello,
horror
darling.
narration voice. Could one of you mods drop a link to Lady Nopingham's channel?
We'll have to
in
all
there?
go check that out.
We're trying to get her to 250 subs by Christmas. And she's,
There you go. Everybody go over there and sub.
209. Had her as a guest last night on the show. First time she'd ever been interviewed. She was real nervous, but she did a good job. But she has got the best horror narration
I'll tell you
female
what.
voice you'll ever hear.
Narration is not easy. I mean, just doing the cabin. I mean, there was times some of the voices and stuff I did for that. I couldn't hardly talk for a couple of days.
I think you were possessed.
I think so too.
You were doing all these different voices,
It's
and
so
it would
funny.
change. That didn't sound like you at all.
The hardest one to do was Greta on the kitchen floor after she had one of her spells, and she's laying in May's lap, and she starts channeling old Bob, and her voice starts changing.
Oh my God, that's giving me chills just hearing it.
And it sounded like, what did I say? It sounded like Marlboro Reds and low shelf whiskey. That was it. That was it right there. All right, Jimmy's short, but one of the things, you know, like I said, his supposedly his last words were on that voicemail that said, you know, he was so sick, and it was just a strain in his voice, and that's probably right, you know, very close to where he died. I like to remember when he was on a talk show, and I believe it was Dick Cavett or Mike Douglas or one of them, and they were asking him about the Star Spangled Banner and how he played it, and what did he think about all the bad feedback he got from that, and was he sorry that he played it that way? And if you've never heard it, go listen to Jimi Hendrix play Star Spangled Banner. I promise you,
it's amazing.
And
he
said,
played that at dawn at
Yep.
Woodstock.
He
Everybody
did.
was asleep and
Yep.
doped out of their minds and hung
Yep.
over.
Yep.
And he had probably been up all night. Now, there's a secret I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly he always wore those headbands, part of it to keep the sweat out of his eyes. But what they
Acid.
don't tell you was, he had several pieces
Four
of
hits
blotter
of
paper
blotter.
acid
a
under
minimum
that
of
headband,
4 blotter.
and it would percolate into
Yep.
he'd absorb it through his skin.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
he was tripping balls while he was
He was
doing all
tripping
that.
balls.
But that is the most amazing version of the national anthem you'll
Absolutely.
ever hear. Although
Yeah.
I heard one of the guitarists from Iron Maiden play it note for note. I mean, mistakes and all. So
Wow.
if you can play that, you're talented.
You're talented. And and in that interview, he said, well, I didn't think it was awful. I thought it was beautiful. And it really was. And it did have, in that one song, it had kind of the angst of the day, the buildup of the fear and the tension and the whole thing all wrapped into one. It was magnificent. It truly
beautiful.
was.
And
It
then
was.
when he was putting like the rockets and the explosions
Yes.
and stuff in there with the guitar,
Yep.
like you said, you were just waiting to see the helicopters coming over the horizon there. And
Absolutely
that was,
true.
Vietnam. We were butthole deep in that at the time. It was just a bad situation, but
Absolutely
just
horrible.
can't say enough good things about Jimmy. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been a paratrooper.
he was something. Yes, he did, and he hurt his knees. He had to get out, but he passed. He did well, so we got to hear him for a short while. But it seems that he's still haunting a little bit here. It says Jimi Hendrix is often heard playing at the Wolsey Hall in Yale University. Why there? Well, if you can recall, he performed with his band there back in November 17th, 1968. And I read where he had given a quote that he really enjoyed the more intimate places like that because it wasn't all the spotlights and everything else. It was just him and the people. And that he really, really loved it. And that's where he felt like he connected. So if that's true, then that's probably what's drawn him back to, to that stage. And I can imagine sitting in that darkened theater and then all of a sudden hearing Jimi Hendrix start playing. So that's an awful trip. We miss you, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And he's buried in Renton, Washington, which if I go across the river into Longview, Washington, it's not too far. It's close to Seattle, but it's a couple hours away. But I've thought about going up there sometime and just paying my respects.
Yep. Now this one here, folks, this one always grabs at your heart. It was tragedy. We talked an awful lot about the planes, and there's quite a few stories here, but there's a little bit of the wreckage there, and I'll have you look at that when I know Steve's got knows a little bit on this too, but let's see what this is, and then we'll pick up on the pictures. On February 3rd, 1959, rock and roll musicians Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson were killed in a plane crash near Clear Lake, Iowa. Together with pilot Roger Peterson, the Clear Lake, Iowa field where Holly's plane went down has become a mecca for their fans. Yep. The event later became known as the day the music died after singer-songwriter Don McLean referred to it as such in his 1971 song, American Pie. And everybody knows it. Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Come on, everybody knows that one. Okay, Clear Lake residents report seeing a phantom plane in the area. Ghostly lights are often seen in the field. Besides that, people have been hearing Buddy Holly's music near his grave in the city of Lubbock Cemetery, Texas, and at his classroom at Lubbock High School at night. So there's that. Now, there's a story that some seats were switched on this one, on this little ride. And Waylon Jennings, he traded with Waylon, didn't he, Steve?
Yeah, Waylon was a guitar player in the Crickets. And there was only 4 seats, or room for 3 on the plane, 4 including the pilot. And they'd been traveling in a bus that kept breaking down. It was the middle of winter. Buddy wanted to get ahead instead of taking the time to drive there, he wanted to fly and get to the next gig so he'd have time to do his laundry, of all things. And the Big Bopper and I think Valens too, Richie Valens, they both had colds or flu from traveling in this unheated bus that kept breaking down. So I can't remember who gave their seat up to who, but Buddy Holly and Waylon Jennings, they I think they were the ones that flipped for it. No, maybe it was the other two that flipped. But anyway, no, I remember now. I got confused.
It's okay.
The other two flipped. That Richardson won the toss because he was sick. But yeah, Buddy had offered a seat to Waylon Jennings, but he wanted him to pay a third of it. And at that time, it was like I think it would have been like $33 or something like that, which doesn't sound like much, but back then,
but it was
what they were making on the road. That'd be about like $600 now.
Yeah.
So Waylon scoffed and said, "Nah, I ain't going to pay no $33 to get there a little bit early." He said, "I'll just ride the bus." And Buddy says, "Well, tell you what, I hope your bus breaks down." And Waylon said, "Yeah, and I hope your plane crashes."
Sure enough.
Was the last thing he ever said to Buddy Holly.
Can you imagine?
He went through years of just regret and just, whatever that would do to you psychologically to think that he caused that to happen. He said it bothered him for a long, long time. And Waylon was known to be a heavy drinker. And he said that was a lot of the reason that he drank was because he said, "I drank before, don't get me wrong." He said, but
that would put him over the edge.
One thing that drove me to drink as much as I did.
Chris Holmes sending in a little love here, and thank you so much, darling. Good to see Cisco and Steve. Thank you, Chris. Good to see you too. Sorry to cut you off there, Steve. I just want to make sure I didn't lose it. I just didn't want to lose it. I'm not too good at this, and I'm all new to all this. With this, I don't want to lose them. I don't know how long they stay up there and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, it was trippy. Now, I've known a few mediums to go in here, and what I heard, and again, take this with, grain of sand or whatever, but I've heard it from two different mediums who don't know each other, okay? And, like you'll have Rob on here and he'll say, "Look, I'm a medium, I'm not a medium psychic," but there's some that are. So one of them is both, and one of them just says she's a medium, and they've both gone in there and in different ways gotten the fact that they believe that the pilot died instantly. That it definitely had something to do with ice on the wings.
Yeah.
And
the guy the pilot wasn't very experienced either. He was young. He was just in his 20s, I think.
And they had one of them, her and another person actually crossed over. She didn't want to say which one of the three that it was because she didn't want the stipulation, but two of them crossed over immediately, and one was still wandering. That's why I left this picture up here in this field.
I'd say Richardson was the one that was wandering because he was thrown like 20 or 30 feet or something from the plane.
Yeah.
The others were caught in the wreckage along with the pilot, but the Big Bopper got
and thrown.
ejected.
I mean, look how close. I mean, I hate to do it. I mean, it's been so many years, but look at there. You've got a body right there.
Yeah,
I don't want to say who it is, but
Richardson.
that's so. It's really tragic and awful. What these young people went through, and I hate it too. I think often of Jim Croce and Stevie Ray Vaughan, helicopter and plane crash. Every time I hear "Time in a Bottle," it just want to make me cry.
We were talking about that the other night.
Unbelievable.
And I remember when Jimmy Ray or Stevie Ray Vaughan died. A friend of mine says, "What kind of world is this where where Stevie Ray Vaughan dies?" And Madonna and the Backstreet Boys are still walking around.
Still walking around living, right? This is what they found in Buddy's pocket. He's got the dice there. He's got his broken watch and his iconic glasses and a Zippo lighter. God blesses him. It's just things like that just really bring the personality home. The Big Bopper did. It wasn't the twist. Chantilly lace. It sure was. Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a ponytail.
He'd been a DJ at a station
down
in Texas and just wrote that like on a lark, and it became a hit.
Absolutely. Now, here's a fun character, Sid Vicious. I absolutely remember being and quite the character. I mean, he did things that other people didn't do. A lot of people back then were doing things for attention. I mean, people show me things now with Marilyn Manson or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I remember when I saw it first, and Alice Cooper did it back in the 70s. What I'm saying? Stuff like this. So we've seen a lot of stuff, but you also have to remember that these are young people trying to find their way, probably caught up in drugs, way too much fame for their own good, running around being told they're the best and they can do whatever they want and get away with it, and before you know it, you've got a toxic cocktail of there's ODs in the future coming.
Well, plus Sid Vicious, right when he OD'd, he had been using drugs with his mother, so that's kind of messed
That
up.
ought to tell you something. There he is right there. Now this is his girlfriend. Now I have just a little piece here. I'm sure, Steve, you've probably heard more that you want to add to it. That's wonderful.
Nancy Spungen.
Yep. Here. Oh, I'm glad you said it because I had a hard time with that one. The tragic deaths of Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy Spungen on October 12th, 1978. Sid found Nancy on the bathroom floor of their room in the Hotel Chelsea, bleeding to death. He was charged with her murder, and he attempted to commit suicide several times after that. Less than 4 months later, after completing a detox program, his mother discovered his body. He died of an overdose. Now, there were reported sightings of him and Nancy at the Hotel Chelsea, usually in his own room 100, and also in the elevator. Some spotted him closing and opening doors, and guests inside room 100 claimed they hear a couple arguing, someone playing loud music, and even temperature changes.
I don't doubt it. I've been in the Chelsea before, and it's like the Dakota. It's one of those just creepy places. It's got a heavy energy, and that predates Sid Vicious. But one of the interesting things, now, I don't know if this is just rumor or what, but supposedly, in his own defense, he said, I didn't do it. If I did do it, I don't remember doing it. If I did it, I didn't mean to do it. But if I did it, it was because she asked me to do it.
Yep, and
He was
there
like,
she
I
is.
didn't do it. I don't remember doing it. But if I did, she asked me to.
It pretty
Because
much
they
covers all
did,
the bases
like,
right there.
Play
I
some
mean,
knife play and stuff and cut each other, but not like that.
and so over the top. And you have people. We hear finding people hanging in closets doing that asphyxiation thing, and knives here
Carradine.
and all that. But when you have two young people like this, now look, you see how she's dressed and everything else. Look, you could have grabbed me in my 20s. And, when I was cocktail waitress and stuff like that, I guarantee it was a Friday night I was wearing something similar. Maybe not, maybe a little more of it. But I'm just saying, to judge by looks. Now, they were troubled, absolutely. And again, you got that fame thrown at you. You've got all this other stuff, But I absolutely had hair just like that in the I guarantee you. But there they are. And they say that the arguments can get quite... really bombastic. It's not just, I hear somebody whispering having an argument. It sounds like they're having an argument. No, this is like banging on the walls, like bodies are being thrown up against the wall and, pictures flying off the wall when the walls hit with so much force and stuff. It's a big, thing happening at the hotel. So, I just often wish that somebody could go in there and calm that situation down. But see, you have young people like this trying to figure out what happened to them and being angry and full of angst alive. How do you think they're going to be as ghosts, Steve, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Perfect example. I wanted to make sure I said that. Think about it. You think you got a demon. I mean,
Well, to be that young and have that much success, the whole
coming at
the
you.
whole of England was up in arms over the Sex Pistols, that people either loved them or they hated them.
Exactly.
But they had attention. They had a record deal.
Yep.
They were,
It's like the dead, Kennedys, the Dead Boys, the Ramones, and people did things. I mean, I remember walking around high school hearing, it was something, Sid Vicious, like, peed on the first 3 rows during his concert. But everybody was talking about it, and you didn't have, Twitter and, hashtags where everybody, something was trending.
You'd hear something on the news, or hear it
Yep.
from a friend, you couldn't wait to get to school the next day and think, did you
Find
see
out.
that last night? Because we only had 3 channels.
Right.
And,
And that's how you got it. Or maybe Tiger Beat. And, Tiger
Yeah.
Beat didn't pick up a lot of these guys, like in the punk scene.
Cream magazine, that was
Yep.
the one that I
Yep,
always
I love
listened
that
to.
one.
Cream and Crawdaddy.
Yep.
They had the
I wasn't a
harder
big
stuff
Rolling
in there.
Stone fan. I mean, they
Yeah.
did these articles, but they were like, Playboy without the centerfolds. They just went and
exactly.
did these articles
But
that were
Cream
just
was the genuine
Yeah.
article. It was a real rock and roll
Tiger
magazine.
Beat. Yeah, buddy. That was it. But Donnie was asking something here. Let's see what he's saying. You'd be amazed at what people are willing to let slide for the sake of their addictions.
Like shooting up with their
talking
mother.
to Jackie. But yeah, I mean, that's it. It's horrible. But like I said, it's a shame, and their souls don't deserve to be going through what they're going through. I'd hate to be the medium on that job, though, I got to say.
Yeah.
You
One
know,
of the most incredible shit. I'm surprised he lived as long as he did. Now, you've been to CBGB's before.
Yep,
and you know
absolutely.
what the bathrooms are like.
oh
there.
God, yeah.
Well, I was reading that the first time that Dee Dee Ramone met Sid Vicious, it was at CBGB's.
CBGB's.
And Sid gets him to go in the bathroom with him. He pulls out a syringe and sticks it in the toilet at CBGB's, draws it up, and he had powdered speed in there, and tied off, shot it up, and Dee Dee had given him the speed, and Sid Vicious said, "That's some good speed. Where'd you get it?" And Dee Dee said, "Like I had seen everything at that point." And he said, "You couldn't have paid me to touch anything in the bathroom.
In the bathroom at CBGB's.
Let alone draw something out of the toilet and stick it in your arm."
I can't tell you how disgusting this place is.
It was a carpeted sewer.
There's a
And then
movie.
Hilly's dog used to run around and poop on the floor.
And they left
everywhere
it there, and
just
fleas
leave it
everywhere, and the chili. How anybody could eat the chili there? That
man.
right there deserves an entire episode of how disgusting some people will do, because oh my gosh, there's the movie, watch it. But like I said, I've heard a lot of inside stuff. I've been there myself. My husband now, and I must have crossed paths like ships in the night, because I was in there in the brass mug all the time, because I was in a rock band, but we were like hard rock. We didn't go as far as punk. We didn't do the safety pin in the face thing, but that's what was going on, Now, we were really hard rock and we were really loud, but we'd play like Judas Priest, we'd play like Iron Maiden, we'd play like the harder Springsteen because we were on the shore, so we had to play like Adam Raised a Cain and different things like that had a little bit harder drive to it, AC/DC and stuff like that. But, we'd go in there and punk band might be opening for you,
Yeah.
And
I remember the band I was
he was
in.
a trip.
We did a punk version of "Blinded by the Light." Springsteen.
Manford Man's Earth Band.
It was rocking though. But yeah, Springsteen wrote that though.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment on something earlier. They were talking about a medium in the chat there. Did you hear about the little person that was a medium that got in trouble with the cops, and she went on the run, and they put out the call that there was a small medium at large.
Small, medium, at large.
But then they cornered her, and she was a good medium. She was very extraordinary. But she ran into a burning building, and that was the end of her. So then they had a rare medium well done. Thank you, folks. I'll be here all week. We can check your
Rare
weight.
medium, well done. And people ask me that all the time. Are you a medium? I said, no, I'm an extra small. Well, there you go. Sid Vicious. I mean, it's very sad, and I'd kill to have her hair right now. So say what you'd like, but there you go. And it was that color at one time. Jim Morrison. Now here is the gentleman. I use the term loosely, but my goodness, Jim. Right. So here we go. I'm going to read a little bit about him. And I think he's one of our last guys. Okay. Before Morrison's death, though, I made sure I put this in because, you say what you want about Oliver Stone's version of what happened. There's a little truth in everything. But, most of his bandmates would look at that version of Val Kilmer's portrayal. And, of course, who writes it and who's directing it has a lot to do with how you're going to portray it. But he said, where was the happy Jim? Where's the laughing Jim, the jokester Jim? We didn't see any of that. And he really had a lot of that. But he was very introverted, and I don't know, it was MK Ultra. I don't know if it had to do with his father and what his father was involved in the military. All that's kind of there's even more there. But the man himself was a trip. as far as that goes. But even more so, he was an icon of the time. That poster that came from this photo shoot here, this isn't the picture they used for the poster, but there's like 20 of them.
The one where he's like he's hanging on the cross.
Absolutely. So, but very iconic. So, before his death in Paris, in the apartment in 1971, he claimed that the spirits of a few Native Americans jumped into his body when his family witnessed the aftermath of a terrible accident. So it seems that he was partly a ghost even before his ultimate demise. And he was always saying that in his poetry and things like that. He really believed that these spirits jumped into him because he witnessed dead bodies on the hot desert road when he was a kid. And he was with his father, was driving, his mother, and I believe his sister, right?
Yeah, they ran away from Florida to California.
Yep, there it is. Yeah.
Through probably Apache or Navajo, somewhere out there in the Southwest. They came across a truck that had turned over, and there were several natives that were dead and dying. And he said there was one old man there that he locked eyes with him and felt his spirit enter into him.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. And that was a big thing. They kind of had a big thing in the movie about that. It was just the way it was, the photography, the cinematography on that was very odd. But if you read the poetry, and I was never a big fan. My first ex-husband, he idolized the Doors. And of course, my husband now loves the Doors because he's a keyboard player, and they had some of the most amazing music coming out, sound that was so different. But the guy, just like with Sid Vicious, what was going on in his head? So, hard to say. And I really think there was more involved there than just drugs. It's just something was wrong.
I think they had the most underrated bass player ever.
That's probably very true. So they didn't have a bass player. I'm sorry.
Ray used to do the bass lines on his keyboard. So.
I was thinking, absolutely true. You got me. It is no secret that during his lifetime, Jim Morrison used to appreciate female company quite a lot. But reportedly, he did. You got me. But reportedly, one lucky lady has even gone to bed with his ghost on several occasions. And I had to tell the chat this one. According to Haunted Rock and Roll Ghostly Tales of Musical Legends, Morrison climbed into bed with Rhonda Barron at his childhood home in Washington, D.C. Also, the Lizard King, which he loved to call himself, was spotted by rock historian Brett Meisner during a visit to the singer's gravesite in Paris. Now, I have the pic. And I want to see what you think. Have you heard of this one, Steve? Where the picture that he got, there was a lot of controversy around it.
Yeah.
But with your photography, your knowledge and, Photoshop stuff, there he is. If you don't think that he was the iconic 1970s dude, here's the picture here. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
He's at Jim Morrison's grave, and that might have been just somebody photobombing in the background. Oh, Jim Morrison, look,
But you can see through him.
Like him. Yeah.
You can see through it.
And I've been to the grave there in Paris.
The thing is, he's got that punch that he had too. Yeah. I mean, if you were going to use the pictures that he was doing this in that photo shoot, I purposely put those pictures. He was real thin, absolutely thin. And he was paunchy when he died. He had the full beard and everything else. And it looks like he has a beard, but he's doing that famous stance, and that just means something to me that I think it's real. This one I think is real. I'm feeling that. I don't know how you think.
I think so. But is he really even dead?
I don't know.
Conjecture on that. The only people that ever saw the body was his girlfriend and the doctor that signed the death certificate. And he had been convicted of some fraudulent stuff. They're both dead now. And there was a movement at one time. They were going to go exhume the grave and see who was in there. And the keyboard player, Ray Manzarek, is that how you say it? He was all for it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go dig it up. He's like, Jim would love it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The whole thing about the Doors is just because it was, like you said, he was from Washington, D.C. They lived in Florida for a while. His dad was he was an admiral in the Navy, basically responsible for the Gulf of Tonkin incident that got us into Vietnam. But in all Jim's posturing and being the voice of a generation, everything, he never once spoke out about the war. He didn't have anything because he never, he'd do these big stadium shows and stuff. It didn't occur to him, I guess. But the strangest thing about it was when they moved to California, he met Ray Manzarek on the beach. They've been to film school together at UCLA, and Jim had dropped out because the instructor laughed at one of his projects. And he just decided, I don't need school. But he approached Manzarek and said, let's start a band.
Yeah, he did.
And Manzarek was like, well, do you have any lyrics? And Jim had a notebook that was basically the first 3 Doors albums already written. And he had never sung a lick, never been in a garage band, never been in a pickup band, never anything. And at that time, there was no music scene in California. The music scene was in New York.
Yeah, it was.
There's a really good book about that whole thing and how it worked. It's called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, and I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote it. He passed away. But he talked about how all of a sudden, all these bands just showed up in California.
And it was one of those
Laurel
one bar.
Canyon.
That one bar where a lot of people, and they wound up being like the house band for a while, and then everybody was showing up there. But I mean, Jim Morrison was up there grinding. It was a little tight leather. God, you can almost smell the bacteria growing from here. But, you get those leather pants and all that stuff. I mean, they were controversial, but it's so funny to look through all of the different waves of the music and how they interwove and branched off from each other, because I can remember in the 60s, it was beatniks. They were in the coffee shop with the bongos and the poetry and stuff. Yeah. And I think Doors kind of like combined that almost, and then, add drugs to that. And, you've got a hit album, because they were the 70s. They were absolutely the 70s.
And the people were looking for something because, what did you have back then before all that happened?
Whiskey a Go-Go. Thank you, Glenn.
You had
Whiskey
Pat
a Go-Go.
Moon, and you had... what is it, doggy in the window, or whatever that crap was.
How much is that dog? That was no, not Dinah Shore. Oh,
what's her name?
Another blonde ponytail. Please don't eat the daisies. It's gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat's gonna get it.
Yeah, who sang Patty Page, The Singing Rage? That's
the Singing Rage. Is she the one who did it?
but that's kind of what we had back then. It was just very middle of the road, very bland, very. Ooh. Because you'd have the Beatles kind of shake things up, and then it kind of moved over into this, and I'm not meaning to offend anybody here, but kind of a hippy-dippy, peace, love, and flowers. And then you had this maniac like Jim Morrison that comes out there and screams crawls around on the stage like a snake and exposes himself. And, and just
arrested for porn, all that stuff. Arrested for
as a flying mallet.
Public,
bam! What is this?
Public indecency and all that, and the cops coming and arresting them on stage. And again, that would just ensure that you had a packed house the next time they played somewhere. It was just like putting on a censor sticker on an album. It was, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister was 100% correct when he was talking to Congress that day. He said, "Put a sticker on my album. You just guarantee it's gonna sell like crazy, and you're not gonna know. Your kids are gonna find a way to buy it even more." And that's that's the way it was.
Raise your hand if you've ever bought records for underage kids.
Absolutely. Along with the six-pack.
Where I was going into the record store, time Catch Records in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. There's a kid out there on the bike. He's like, "Mister, would you get me that Run DMC album?"
Run DMC, oh my God. I remember going to Two Guys and buying an album for $2.95. And during Thanksgiving, I hope everybody's Thanksgiving was good. I forgot to say that, but I really do. I wasn't sure how this one was going to go. We wound up having two, one here and one at my son's house and his new fiance. But the thing was, the cool part is he's a locksmith, and he also specializes in restoration of old homes, so he gets to go and do, they change the locks on Bon Jovi's house every 6 months. I don't know what he's so paranoid about, but maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe that's inside info. I don't know, but anyhow, don't tell anybody. Shh. So all these different things. He's like, "Oh, I went to Stone Pony. We did this here. We did that." So it's really cool. He's getting a lot of stars and stuff out here on the shore. So anyway, he went in one, and they had one guy had boxes of albums old albums from the 70s and around then, probably late 60s to 70s, all the way up into maybe getting up into the 80s. So he hands me these boxes. So Thanksgiving, I'm sitting there drinking my sparkling cider because I just didn't want, I'm not drinking wine on Thanksgiving. But I'm going through these albums and I'm going, oh my God, this is so good. I found the Loggins and Messina, Best of Friends. I found Mondo Jerry and in the summertime and all this other stuff. I mean, I was finding albums, Allman Brothers, all kind of stuff, and I'm just pulling them out because he didn't have a chance to go through them. The best part is my sons were probably the only ones, and his fiance, they knew the songs. They're like, really, pull that one out, put it to the side. Neil Young. I remember we were listening to the Neil Young's Harvest album on Thanksgiving, drinking sparkling grape juice and eating some of the best turkey you ever wanted to eat. It was lovely Thanksgiving.
Did anybody here this past Thanksgiving, did you listen to Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie?
No. Why? Is that a tradition?
That's a Thanksgiving tradition.
Is it really?
It is.
Alice's Restaurant?
FM used to play, still do, every Thanksgiving they play the entire Alice's Restaurant in its entirety. It's about 20 minutes long, 24 minutes.
Yeah, it is. Okay. It is.
You'll listen to it if you've never heard it.
Oh, wow, that's great. We'll have to start doing that.
Bigfoot Anonymous asks, anybody know G.G. Allen?
Hey, baby.
Kevin G.G. Allen. He was an absolute wild man. The troubadour. Actually, back in the 80s and 90s, Bigfoot, I knew him pretty well. Gigi was just this on-stage persona, but he was possessed or something, I think. But when he was in jail, he wrote me. I was publishing a fanzine at the time, and I think that was when he was with, I want to say, the Murder Junkies. He had several different bands, along with his brother, Merle Allen. He wrote me letters from jail and wanted me to publish his autobiography, but I sent him to somebody else because I wasn't a big enough outfit to handle something like that. I don't know whatever happened with it. But somewhere I've got some letters from G.G. Allen that are probably worth a young fortune now. But I also wanted to agree with Jackie Canella there that she thinks Jim suffered from MK Ultra.
I do too. I really do.
The whole thing about all those Southern California bands I mentioned, every single one of them started back east, met up out west, and every single one of them's parents worked in the military intelligence community.
Yep, there's a lot of digging that can be done there.
The guy from the Mamas and the Papas had been in the military. Frank Zappa grew up right outside, I don't remember which arsenal it was. His parents were.
And I'll tell you something, Steve, you got to be on something. I think the best proof of Frank Zappa was on something. Not to say he wasn't a wonderful talent, because he certainly was, but he was definitely out there. A lot of people were. But you got to be on something to name your kids. Amit, Moon Unit, Dweezil, and Rodan,
Dweezil
Godzilla.
Was named after his mother's little toe.
Yep. Oh, Dweezil. Moon Unit. Wait a minute. I used to know it. Moon Unit, Dweezil, Amit, Rodan, and Godzilla, right? Am I right about Rodan? I'm not sure about Rodan.
So.
But I think that's it.
Jim lived in several different places in Laurel Canyon.
Laurel Canyon, that's it. Bad.
The song Love Street. That house is still there. It's right behind the Laurel Canyon grocery store. And it caught fire not too long ago. And when they were renovating it, they tore out the tub stall. And behind there was the original tile wall, and it had poetry that Jim had written or painted on there. And they were seeing about getting that taken out and put in like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or museum or something. But yeah, he lived in several different places. A lot of those guys lived in Laurel Canyon.
And
Zappa
I agree with that.
Had a big place in Laurel Canyon. Janis Joplin, Peter Tork.
All Mama Cass, and her ghost has been seen. Yeah,
and there was other MK Ultra stuff that went on there. Look up Wonderland Film Studios. It was the biggest studio in the world that never made a movie that you ever saw. It was run by the government. They made propaganda films, and a lot of famous people were seen going in there.
Did she name one of her children God? Glenn's saying so. Oh my goodness!
You seen her lately?
No, I hadn't.
Poor thing. She's about 300 pounds and bald.
Oh, is she?
Bald as a
no! Oh no! Oh, yep. Charles Manson, absolutely right. Bigfoot. Yep. And all of them. I mean, the whole Crosby. I'll tell you about it.
David Crosby.
Stephen Stills. all of them. I think, believe it or not, I think Neil stayed away. He was real big, wanted to be out in Canada. That's when he wrote
Neil Young. Oh, he was part of that.
Helpless.
He was part of that Laurel Canyon set too.
Yeah, he's something else. But yeah, I mean, he was kind of speaking out against it a little bit. Neil was.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
he
might have been part of that
very
fight.
anti-war. But yeah, he drove down from Canada in a hearse, a used hearse, and just for some reason he knew he had to go meet with Stephen Stills, and was driving down Hollywood Boulevard in this hearse and saw Stephen Stills going the other direction, and did a U-turn on Hollywood Boulevard, which that's the most impossible sounding part of the story to me on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, how you gonna
But
do
anyway,
that?
caught up with him, and that's how Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young got together.
It's amazing. It really is. But, even George Carlin will tell you, somebody go up that hill and they don't come back the same. And that's a direct quote from George Carlin. Absolutely. And I think George Carlin spent a better part of his career, like 4 or 5 decades trying to tell us the truth. It's a big club and you ain't in it. I think this is
serious fires up in Laurel Canyon, too.
Yep,
A lot of those
absolutely.
places burned down. The house that Frank Zappa lived in had been Tom Mix's house. They also had a place up there called the Tree House, which was right across from the Houdini estate, which there's tunnels that go all under
all under there.
Laurel Canyon. And that place is haunted too. There's just so much weird
100%.
history in Laurel Canyon. Find the book, Strange Scenes in Laurel Canyon. I'll have to look it up and see who wrote it.
Yep, it's Southern Man. Oh gosh, I used to do the best Neil Young singing that song. Southern Man,
He sounds just like him.
Southern Man. Yep, and that was a big thing. That was between him and Leonard Skinner were having a fight in music back and forth. Now they just diss each other on Twitter, or they'll, put out a diss song or something like that. A lot of the rappers do that. But that was one of the first ones you ever had. What's that, sweetie? What you show me?
Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. If you want to read
Oh,
the best
yeah.
book ever, it's by Dave McGowan. He passed away. And there's even a story that he was given cancer to get rid of him because of the stuff he was.
My goodness.
And it's subtitled Laurel Canyon.
Good night, lady.
Laurel Canyon, Covert Ops, and the Dark Heart of the Hippie Dream.
Wow.
And he
There you
talks
go.
about Morrison, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, all these weird hippie bands that just sprang up out of nowhere.
Man,
Weird-
I'm gonna have to get that. We'll have to
Weird
do a show
Scenes
on it.
Inside the Canyon. It's excellent. I've heard him talk. He's been on
Yeah.
a lot of shows before he passed away.
Oh, that's sad.
Not so many since he passed away.
Well, that's
You know,
another thing. I'd love to get people like, Dan Baldwin and everybody else. He does the Ghost from the West. He's actually talked to Wyatt Earp's wife that he left behind that was addicted to the laudanum. And just so many other things. He's got this little Chinese immigrant that came over to work on the trains, how horrible they were all treated. But see, that's the thing that gets me. I mean, when I discovered them, they were up in age, and I'm trying to get a lot of people on because, I just love to get that wisdom down on something because they're some of the best interviews you ever do. But I think I really like this picture. I think most of the people in the chat are liking this picture. I think this is about it. But absolutely, Jim. Jim is whoa. Rock and peace, everybody. That's our rock legends just for tonight that we did. But I'll tell you what, those were some that I didn't hear all the time. I hadn't heard so much. I heard Johnny Cash and some of the other ones that come through, but there's so many more. These all seem to be almost around the same era as well.
Yeah.
Starting off with The Day the Music Died, with the Big Bopper and Richie
We could
Valens.
easily do a 2 or 3 part.
Oh my gosh! I think
haven't
we
even
will.
gotten into Zeppelin and the
Elvis
Soul Their
and
Soul stuff. Let's do the rest of it next week. You want to?
Absolutely. We absolutely will. And it's been absolutely wonderful. I'd like to thank everybody that gave super chats. Please don't ever think you have to do that. Nothing will ever be behind a paywall here. We really appreciate every single one of you, your comments, give a thumbs up on the way out. It really helps the algorithms. But I'll tell you what, again, we reached where we are now because you guys helped. I appreciate you so much. And here's Donnie again. He's got a final question, and that'll probably wrap this right up. What you got for us, Donnie? Who is the one rock legend whose ghost you would most want to encounter? Oh, great question.
No, there's so many.
Gosh, in rock? Oh, man. I guess it all depends, man. I think about this stuff a lot. As far as sitting down
about in the chat,
having a beer.
He was a singer or guitar player for some band. He claimed that he discovered the secret to time travel, and then he disappeared. I'd like to talk to him.
I would too. But some of the rock legends, I think I'd love to talk to Stevie Ray Vaughan, man. Yeah. I just feel like he was so shy. He hid behind that big old hat. I know that he struggled all his life with alcoholism and drugs. He grew up in the time where his parents had a bar in the house and had the parties, and all the liquor and stuff would be laid around the next day. You know what? I can remember those nights, poker nights, martinis at 4, the bar in the living room.
So bad, he was like puking up blood and stuff.
Yeah, he did. He did. But I remember hearing his NA speech. Somebody I knew in
the helicopter god. We should have kept drinking and swore off helicopters.
Unbelievable, man.
Chad Smith, I see you in the chat. I heard you talking about me the other night, bitch. We'll call you out.
But that's definitely the one that.
Can I say bitch on here?
Yes, you can. Well, it's my show. I mean, if you can't say bitch, what can you say?
Well, I wasn't saying it to you. I'm calling Chad Smith a little bitch.
Oh, wow.
Chad knows I love him.
I think probably Stevie Ray Vaughan would be one. I had some really big favorites, but here recently they've disappointed me. So I don't look at people that are big stars, but I'd love to sit down and talk to some of the finest guitar players I've ever heard. Yeah, I would love to spend an evening with Gary Moore, and I wouldn't have to. He wouldn't have to say a word. Just talk to me with that guitar. He's gone. I'd love to meet Phil Lynott and tell him that I mourned him twice, because Thin Lizzy, I'm a dear. Oh God, oh my God, Thin Lizzy live. I lived on that in high school. Oh jeez, Phil Lynott. Yeah.
Somebody else, just an understated person she never heard of, was James Honeyman Scott from the Pretenders, and Pete Farndon, the bass player for the Pretenders. They both passed away too young. Yeah. And they both they looked like they were having a good time and enjoying themselves, and that's what it's all about, But that's two of the people I'd most like to meet. Mm-hmm. And Amy Winehouse. I'd like to go out drinking with her.
Back to Black, absolutely.
I'd have to leave bail money with somebody.
Another one that, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, the way when she first started out and everything, oh my goodness, just wonderful.
Chad Smith, them's fighting words. Hey, I'll be out by the mailbox, buddy. I'll take my lawn chair out there and sit and wait on you.
Yeah, we got Steve
Six, pack your lunch
afraid.
If you're coming to whoop my ass.
We got Steve Six. He's over there hunkered down pretty good. You better come wanting. There you go. All right, guys. That's it for tonight. I love you so much. Thank you again for getting in, going through the T Public and getting those mugs and everything else. I'll tell you what, they're good, and I absolutely love the way they look. I love the way the tumblers look. Like I said, they're a little more expensive, but I'll tell you what, they really work. They keep it's either cold, it still have ice in it the next day if you leave it on your nightstand, guaranteed. Well, and it's going to keep your coffee hot. So
it keeps the cold stuff cold and the hot stuff hot.
There you go. And speaking of hot stuff,
how does it know?
This chat is just absolutely fantastic, and I can't tell you how much it means to me that you guys come in here and having a good time. I loved, what we did last night, and we are going to, I'll tell you, after last night, I got an email today that Donnie and Carla did look look back and thinks they might have some information. It looked like it is very possible that a lot of us are in the same soul family. So don't think it's just, your cousin or your sister or your brother. A lot of these people in the chat, we've probably been connected before. You feel real comfortable here. Where a lot of light workers came to this earth to be here in this time. And if you don't think that you're doing something, being in these chats, helping each other is huge. And I love each and every one of you for it. So thank you so much. And well, that's it tonight, Steve. What do you got going on this week?
Well, I don't know yet. Aunt Edna says I'm a smartass. I think she's been reading my mail.
Has she been reading your mail?
Haven't you?
Has she been reading?
Got some videos coming out of missing persons and mysteries. I saw Bill had put up 2 or 3 today.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Stuff that had disappeared from the channel for whatever reason. Well, they're back up, and then I've recorded 2 new ones for him today.
Fantastic.
As always, 13 past midnight, every night at midnight Eastern now. It used to be midnight Pacific, moved it up to midnight Eastern. So have a good time over there every night. And want everybody to remember tomorrow night, Tuesday night, is Dave Scott's on Space Out Radio. It's his 7th YouTube anniversary.
Oh, wow. We all got to get over there.
And pop in. I'm going to do a raid from my show because I go at the same time he does. I did want to do that for a long time, but I decided, well, there's some overlap, but we have different audiences. So tomorrow night, we're going to go from 13 past midnight and raid Dave Scott's show. So join
That'd
us.
Be great.
Join him.
He's been doing good for a long time.
Yeah. Also, buy some merch. That stuff's incredible. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel.
Yes, please do.
Like, share, and subscribe to Lady Nopingham, or you'll regret it. And don't forget that the super sticker and super chats are open now for Cisco. I'm so happy that they got that turned on for you.
It's been like, I sent you a gif of a sloth crawling across the road. But see, you can do a lot of tricks and you can do a lot of things. But, I've watched a lot of podcasts that are, they'll take the different things. We wanted to do something different here. And it has to be organic. You guys got to want to be here. It's not just, clickbait or it's this or it's that. We're just having a good time talking, but we're like what the old folks used to call, the elders called visiting. We're all just getting together visiting. We're visiting. We're coming in here. We bring our own snacks. We bring our own, our own gatekeeper cups. But I'll tell you, the way things have gone down, like last night when they were talking about the gatekeepers and the way they said that it was perfect, everybody in here doing that, because we do it in our lives daily as well. We are really trying to enjoy this journey and figure it all out. And being here with you guys once or twice a week really makes the journey so much better. And I couldn't agree with Jackie more. I believe if we are together, we are a soul family, and I absolutely believe that here. And I couldn't pick a better group to be with. Thank you tonight. Thanks for getting out of the bog to come visit with us.
Yeah.
Sitting and visiting.
Now finishing my coffee.
Oh, me too.
This is a great show. We ran 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, did we really? Oh, my goodness.
This is one of the best ones we've done yet. They just keep getting better.
They just keep getting better.
If it so happens that way, I'd like to continue right where we left off next week.
Oh, let's do it.
Go into some of like the curses and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I've got a thing that I wrote about cursed music and songs and bands.
Oh, let's do it.
I'll perform it for y'all next week.
Outstanding. How great is that? So curses and some rock and roll and some good
cursed musicians, cursed songs, cursed bands, and all kinds of good stuff right here next Monday night.
There you go, guys. So same bacon channel, same bacon time. I love you all so much. And I forget who's next Sunday. I guess you'll have to be surprised. Love you. Love you, mods. Great job. Thanks for all the links. Thanks for getting the book. Thank you so much for the wonderful reviews. Thank you for getting the merchandise and for the super chats. Love you all. And we are out of here. Good night, everybody.
Donnie Cho will answer your question about Jimmy Page next Monday.
All right. We'll absolutely do it. And here we go. Good night, everybody.
Night,
be nice. Hey, keep your feet under the covers. Keep your closet doors shut. Because there are things that go bump in the night. Good night.